Today's guest is Tina Ginn, organizer of Your Backup Plan. We will talk about how we can prepare for unexpectancies in life. With her new app, it can assist you in putting all the important information, details, documents into one place when you need it the most. Your Backup Plan is an emergency preparedness app that helps during difficult times, from COVID to retirement and everything in between. Please give a warm welcome to ever-blessed Tina Ginn. Hello, Tina.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you today?
Oh, pretty good. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is because I did upload your app.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
That's
I love it.
exciting.
Yeah, I love it. So I didn't know if we want to talk about a little bit about that, and then we can also talk about some of your journey as well, because I've reviewed some of your previous engagements, and I got to know a little bit more of you. I think it was with Marjorie when she was talking about her life-altering journey that she had with black eyes and paralysis. And
That was an amazing story, wasn't it?
yeah, oh my gosh, I was getting all teary-eyed just listening to it because I'm like, oh my gosh. I've had instances like that because I lived in the Midwest, and black ice is just
Terrible.
everywhere. So when I moved down to Texas, I probably saw maybe one instance, and that was when we had that cold
Yeah, you had a
last
cold
year.
snap. Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
was
the roads were just like ice.
And
And that's what happens in all these places that aren't hot or cold. Like
right.
you get that.
And they don't have even though I get it, their black tops or their cement is not customized for that particular cold freeze. So that within itself is a counteract to protecting at least some type of traction of some sort. But here in Texas, there is this, it's oblivious. So that makes it even worse when you have black ice. But so that was just an amazing story. I think you've also hit on a little bit about your history, that you had just a little details about it, but you have battled a brain injury of some sort.
A car accident, yeah.
Car accident, okay.
I interviewed two people that died, actually, that came back.
Oh my gosh.
But he didn't remember anything from going and coming back, whereas the first guy I interviewed did. So that was kind of interesting.
Wow. Tina Ginn, is that pronounced correctly?
Yes, you got it.
Okay, Tina Ginn. Because I was like, Jen, like, whoa, man, I'm thinking about that right now. If after hours, if it's 5 o'clock somewhere. No, it's actually Ginn.
Some people say Ginn, but it's actually Ginn. Yeah, Ginn. You got it right.
Mm-hmm. So what is the origin of your last name? That's
from England.
Really? Okay. Yeah. A little backstory about me. Yes. So when I came to the States in 88, I actually came from England. So I was there for, oh my gosh, 2 times. My mother was in the military, so we lived off base.
Oh, okay.
And we lived on a place, was Upper Hayford, in a farm called Stockings Farm. And I've had this lifelong journey of searching my friend from that farm, and I remember her name, and that was 33 years ago, and I don't even know if she's even around. It'd be crazy to find her again, but I remember her name. I just can't find her anywhere. I looked on Facebook and asking these random people like who have the same name, like, hey, do you remember me? And they're like, they have no response. They think I'm some creeper. I'm like, I don't know how to find her. So when I came over in 88, I had an English accent. So it was really interesting to have that in Wisconsin. They're like, oh my gosh, you're definitely not from here. So
I'm a military brat too. My dad was in the military.
Oh, cool.
I was stationed in Germany a lot of the years. While you were in England, I was in Germany.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've been to Germany and Spain, Paris, and pretty much all the states. Like
trips to Paris and stuff. And
that's so cool. Italy. Yeah, that is so amazing.
Bad news, 15 and 16-year-olds in a bus in Europe.
Oh gosh, yeah. Military brats just on a mission. just like, rebels with
Craziness.
yeah, rebels. Well, that's awesome. I didn't know that you had the military brat background. Like, so, and I was actually going to be US Army 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
But then I decided to get married, which I'm like, which one was worse, getting married or going to the military? I don't know which one. Probably had more. Yeah. So, but it's all good. It's all good. Tina, I just wanted to let all the listeners know a little bit more about you, and so we can get started on some of the questions that I have for you, so we can dig right into that. So I know that your background is you yourself had invested in creating an app, and we can probably talk more about that as after these questions that I wanted to ask of you.
Sure.
But also, like, your goal, your passion, I've noticed, is that you have had some experience yourself where you've dealt with life-altering situations with yourself, and you also yourself have a I think, is it you do have a podcast, or is it just you being a
2 seasons
okay.
podcasting? Yeah.
Tell me how you got started on that as well. We all have our reasons on starting a podcast. So what is your reason of creating a podcast?
Well, thanks, Jasmine, for having me come on your show.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited to be able to have a chat today with you guys. It's so nice during pandemic to feel like you've brought new friends into your realm, I guess, so to speak. I guess it really all started. My background I have is Microsoft certified systems engineer, so specializing in software. And then I went into the financial advisor role as well, because at the time I couldn't find work. And now there's so much work in that field. It's crazy how a few years change. Mm-hmm. But I think I was brought into all of these different avenues to do what I'm doing today. And it all really started when I was a life insurance agent, however you want to call it, a financial expert, a advisor. But I got a phone call one day from a good friend, and he said, Carol's going into the hospital, and I was wondering if you could pick her up and drive her home after her tests. She got a cough and she couldn't get rid of it for about 5 or 6 weeks. And so she thought she better go in for some tests. And so then I got a phone call a few hours later saying she won't be coming home. She's going to have some more tests done. So I said, okay, well, just let me know. I'll help you out. Because they had a dollar store in a small town outside of the city. And so it was, awkward to go back and forth when you're trying to run a store and do medical errands, so to speak. So I got a phone call the next day and said she won't be coming home. She has stage 4 lung cancer. Mm-hmm. And I was blown away, and I made it a mission for me to go and see her, bring her a nice cup of tea, not like that dishwater soap that they have in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't fathom, I couldn't believe the changes that a person goes through each week when you go to visit them. I don't know if any listeners have experienced that, but it's very profound to your experience. And especially as the weeks progressed, because by about the 3rd or 4th week, she was already on oxygen full time. And I think the radiation I could really see the deterioration very quickly after that period of time. I mean, they tried their best to give everything that they had in all, chemo and radiation. It really took her life right out of her. I remember sitting on the bench. We went outside on the patio, and she said, Tina, I just want to see the birds. I want to feel the breeze on my face, and I want to hear the sounds and just see the blue sky. And it took me back, because it was just like this was embedded into my head. and I couldn't get it out. And I thought, that's true, because we all worry about what if. And when it does happen, we're in stress because, well, do they know this? Do they have that? Do they have this? Do they have their wills? Do you know where my bank accounts are? Do you know where my keys are? Like all of a sudden it's panic stricken. And really and truly at that moment in time, you just want peace and you want love. That's it. But you just took it down to two things. See?
Yeah, I've been tearing up
I need
2 minutes now. I decided to.
So that's what I was up against. So I created this app because the universe told me that, Tina, you can do this. You can put all of this stuff together so people don't have to worry when the time comes. And it doesn't even have to be for death. It can be going into COVID, in ICU, and you can't speak and you can't tell anybody, my mortgage needs to be paid on the 13th, or, where my bank accounts are so you can pay the electricity bill. So it's all of these types of things, or going over to Europe and losing your passport. It's as small as or big as that, to losing your house in a fire. And so I took a lot of time. It was originally a workbook, and then I thought, okay, this has to be an app. This has to be the easiest thing that people can do. And I took time and developed that. But after going through a car accident myself, getting hit head on, I realized that, we're not Superman. None of us are. We think we are, but we're not. And that I, of course, struggled with the brain injury part, the concussion. They kept saying it's 4 years now. And everybody says, oh, it gets better. It gets better. I'm still waiting for that to get better. But all you can do is keep moving forward and I've been trying to really use my brain in different aspects: music, dancing, walking, jogging, whatever it is that you can manage to do, because it all uses different parts of the brain. So I'm always trying to exercise it. But the podcast has definitely helped me. I have all my notes all in front of me so I don't forget what I'm doing or saying. But I just wanted to help people. I wanted to make sure that people had something they could put, photos of their house, of their rooms, of their items, of their jewelry, of their artwork, and they can put it all into the app. And then if their house was in flood or a fire or a hurricane, all they have to do is go to the app and they have everything in there for the insurance claims. Because, your house goes down in water or fire, where are your receipts to show the insurance company? Yeah, so I just wanted to make everything as a backup plan so that, even has emergency kit preparation in it. It has, where are your shutoff valves? You should know where your gas line is, where your water lines are. It has, preparing your keys, even for, let's say, if you left your home for a month, what would you do? And that's what we should prepare for all the time, just in case that extra person needs to get into your house and turn the water off, or go and check in on it, or feed the cat, or whatever. But a lot of times we prepare for things in life that are fun. We prepare for trips and holidays, weddings and parties and birthdays, but somehow we don't prepare for the unexpected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to hit on too. And like, oh my gosh, this is going to be another episode that I will have to mute myself the majority of the time, because here I'm sniffling and snorting, and I'm an ugly crier. So
I get teary-eyed.
Yeah, I'm an ugly crier. So, but thank you so much for sharing that. My gosh. God. I don't even know what I can lead with that, because it just feels like I want to give you a virtual hug and just be like, 20 minutes of silence on an episode. Like, is there something wrong with the microphone? I don't hear anybody. But
Jasmine, don't feel bad. I got interviewed by a British guy, actually from England, and he's a comedian, and he didn't even know. He says, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah. Because I mean, from what I understand is, comedy's always been like, it's always been a mask for other people's emotions. And, like specifically Robin Williams, of all people, who you would think who has be the happiest life in the world, was battling something, and he covered it and masked it with his own comedy. And that's just like, the happiest people in the world are probably the most saddest people in the world, because of what they have to go through when the door is closed. When the audience has left the theater, they go home and lock their door and, bawling their eyes out for hours and weeks, until they had to put that mask back on for the next show. So it's just like, I just wish I wish my arms can reach it, the whole world of all the people that I just want to embrace and say, it's okay,
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's really hard.
Well, it's a whole other saying, that saying of, you never know what's behind closed doors, because it's true.
Mm-hmm.
When you open up and close those doors to his body, all of what's inside is very different than that outside part. I talk about that a lot in our shows about, picture yourself lying, sitting beside someone that is dying, and do you want to be talking and asking them where their keys are and what kind of cat food they feed their cat, or where their bank accounts are or their investments? No, it's a time to hold them, embrace them, help them recover if you can. It's definitely not a time to be asking all of those questions. It's take it from me. I've had so many clients call me and say, how do I ask my mom where her bank accounts are and her investments and this and that? And I say, it's too late. You can't. You have to do it when they're okay, when they're maybe just gotten sick or before they've gotten sick, or I've got worksheets we've got a new blueprint program coming along with the app. So it's going to be a nice, good community where people can talk about their journeys, or, my uncle did this, or my aunt has this problem, or my mom and dad are like this, or, we're somewhere where you can go and get information, watch videos, see interviews. And you're given worksheets where you can have those family conversations with those that you love and care about. And Christmas time and January are like the best times. Or, I always say, let's do a workshop on Zoom and we all have a glass of wine or cup of coffee or cup of tea or whatever, and get the worksheets out and appies and have some fun and get through the questions. And then it's all done.
Yeah.
It can be fun.
And on the downside, because we were talking about people's mental health with Robin Williams, for an example, holidays are the worst. And I think having a group like that come together for a beverage and to talk about with other people who have the same type of relative situations and loved ones, or they're themselves, that's something that we need to speak about. If we choose to not say anything, we are suffering in silence, knowing that there's someone who's going through the same thing, or has a loved one has gone through this similar situation. So, to have that option out there for you in this app. For example, I'm a true crimes gal. I love true crimes. And one of the things is I've always talked about was with my kids, and they actually call me the horror queen, because I watch movies. I watch horror movies 365 days of the year. And I'm always thinking, like, what if something happened to me if this happened, and I always put myself in a scenario, the worst scenario you could think of, and be kind of like prep in that sense. Like if I'm walking alone and I'm thinking of the scenario, if this happened, what would I do? How can I prepare myself for something like if someone comes behind the dumpster, or if someone walks and creeps behind my door and tries to unlock the door while I'm, pumping my gas or whatever it is. And I'm like, I've always put myself in like what if situations. So the thought came across, I think, from another podcast, and it made so much sense, is they called it a if I go missing file.
Oh.
And when I started creating something kind of like that on a spreadsheet, said, if I go missing, these are the people you need to contact as possible suspects.
Oh.
And if something happened to, here's my card, here's my bank account information, amongst other things, less darker side of the scenario with your app.
Yeah.
You have a preparedness for emergencies across the board, not just for this scenario. But I mean, just to kind of plop, that is one of the possibilities of unexpectedness that happens to us. We might have to run to the grocery store in the middle of the night because your kid is having a fever and you ran out of, medicine to take care of that, or a thermometer that broke and the battery's not working. Guess who has to go to Walgreens at 2:00 in the morning to get it alone in their slippers by themselves?
Yeah.
These unexpected situations happen all the time. And when you are identifying that you have an app for that in the palm of your hand, I even downloaded it and I was kind of playing with it yesterday. I even had my son as a additional user. So like because he's a 25-year-old. So he's kind of like the man of the house, even though if it does happen, he will be officially the man of the house. So he has to know this imperative information, and to put that what if at ease and saying it's taken care of instead of the what if it's taken care of. I just want to change the words from what if to it's taken care of. And I feel more at peace, and I love to kind of dig into more on this app. I went through Google app, and I paid for the premium, and it's like, it has, like you said, extensive detailed information. If I had jewelry, or if I had, money, armor, weaponry, and you have all those places for it. I already put my kids in there with their goofy faces, like, these are my kids. Hello, sorry, but they're here. And so then they can identify who they are. If they're I even put in a common law partner in there, because I'm not married right now, or I was married, but I'm no longer. So as my emergency. And I'm just going through it like crazy.
You're just going like crazy through it.
I love technology. So when I see something like this, I just like, my mind goes, why didn't I think of that? And it's like, they always say there's an app for that. Well, I'm so glad there is an app for this, because I think everybody should be walking around with this in their pocket. And one of the things I wanted to ask, I'm not sure if you said you were creating a blueprint for providing videos and doing some Zoom call workshops and doing testimonial stories for your clients. Now, do you have something where if they're not able to get to their phone, that they have a website that they can, like me, I have fat fingers, and for me to type all that information on my like for fat finger people, do they have a place where they can go to a web browser that's connected to the app, or is that something you'll be thinking in the future sense?
Well, the problem with the computers having the system accessible on the computer is that so many people have all of their information on their computer, but it's password protected and it's locked. So there's so many of my clients that were, well, how do I have to pay someone to unlock their computer, like open their safe and unlock the computer, and then to find out, like, where is the stuff?
Okay.
Where's their information? Like, That's the problem. So the app can be played on anything that's accessible that can have an app. So even Microsoft has the ability to have an Android Google Play app. So you can use it on your Microsoft computer or your iPad tablet. You can also download it in the Apple Store.
Okay.
So it's only through the app, though. It's accessible.
But yeah, that's what I was trying to get across in as the question, because some apps have the ability where you can actually go through the app, but using the app in a browser or the Microsoft, like you said, you could upload it into your computer and type in the information into that app from your computer. And it makes sense that, like, do you know how many times I have to do the give me my secret question, give me my secret to do anything. So yeah, that's one of the big no-nos. I think I'm glad you were able to maneuver around that and just go directly with having the app ability. I don't have Apple, but through the Apple or through the Android Google Play. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And it's funny because when I started creating it, it just got bigger and bigger, because then it's this scenario, then it's that scenario. And I really wanted it for people to not just, there's so many things out there if you die, but there's nothing out there that helps you with all those different angles, whether it's your house burning down or flooding or property or business. And I just wanted to have something there. And it was a client that actually lives near me, and his hobby is fire trucks. It's such a strange hobby, but he has, hundreds of fire trucks. So that got me thinking of, everyone has a certain hobby. Sometimes it could be anything from spoons to jewelry to artwork, to mechanical things, equipment, tools. But for something like that, if something happened to him, what would his wife do? How would she know how to sell it? Would she want to sell all of it? Would she want to keep some of it? Who does she contact so that she's not just putting it out on Craigslist and getting any Tom saying it's worth $5,000 and it's actually worth 30, So I wanted to have something where people had these types of things, that their partner knew who to see, who to contact, that knows about that. And what should I do with it? What should I do with the parts? How do I sell it or keep it or give it away, or what am I doing with it? And it's the same for your podcast. It's the same for your business. What do I want to have happen to it if I can't talk anymore? What do I want someone to fill in for my podcast? Do I want someone to take over my business? What's going to happen to the revenue? Who's going to pay the bills? What's included? There's so many spouses, particularly men. I'm sure there are lots of ladies, but I've only run across men who have like a construction company, and they have a sea-doo and a trailer and a boat and, all ATVs and all of this stuff. And they go to the golf course and they die of a heart attack. So what happens to the wife? Do they know the business? Do they know how to finish the contracts that are still open? Do they know how to get paid for what's owing? Do they know, do they have a partner? Do they even want to be part of the business? Do they know anything? Do they know what their toys are? Do they know what they owe? Like, ladies out there, especially, I talk to so many women, and I'll say, do you have your backup plan? Oh, my husband looks after that. No,
exactly.
No.
And,
Don't even let that even come into your mind. Yet embrace the strength that you need to complete the worksheets, to get the information, because anything can happen. Anything. He could not come home tomorrow. And what does that picture look like for you?
Yeah, it's just, there has to be some type of equilibrium in regards to understanding. Y'all need to sit down. you're both partners in this relationship. You all need to sit down and just literate in everything that goes on in that relationship. You understand the day-to-day with your kids and the day-to-day and how was work, when you come back from work or you leave and, but nobody really sits down at the table and talks about the real deep information that is imperative. Finances, what happens to me if there's a living will, if there's something happens to me unexpectedly, how is that going to be taken care of? Where are the bills being paid out of? And I think that's one of the things that just a high percentage of divorces are happening because of the financial situations, because there's a break in communication when it comes to that. Finance, to support each other, you have to understand how to support each other from all angles, from all perspectives. So yeah, that's imperative.
That's right.
Yeah,
even if you're not 100% involved in it and the other person looks after it on a monthly basis, just to have that binder or that go-to place to know that, they're updating their information of maybe they changed bank account locations or, just those little things, so that always take a moment and say, what if I wasn't here for 1 month or 2 months? What would I need to know? And everything's in the app, of course, but it goes even further because it could be your sister or your brother or your good friend or your mom or your dad. And you don't know anything about them. You don't know where they have anything. And that's one of the biggest money makers that insurance companies have, is people who have life insurance and disability and never use it and never put a claim on it because the family didn't know they had it. So that's one of the biggest money makers of, it's not people that are paying for term insurance for 10 or 20 years and then canceling it. The biggest money maker is paying for that life insurance and having the opportunity to have it paid out to the family member, but family member never knew that you had it.
That makes me want to start digging into the big piles of paper that are just sitting here. Like, I know I have some life insurance somewhere. I just don't know where it is. So now you've actually put the kind of like a little fire under my toes to get that going. Now that I have this app on my phone, I'm like, I want to play with this, and I want to make it as flawless and beneficial for anyone, especially my son, because I've always talked about, if I pass on, this is what's going to happen. But that's all just verbal. There's nothing in black and white. There's nothing solidified somewhere identifying. This is where it is. This is how much it is. This is what it looks like. Can you tell the listeners? Because let me ask this question before we jump into telling about the website. What accomplishment are you most proud of? Because I know I've had all the other questions you've pretty much answered for me. Thanks, Tina, for making my life so much easier.
I hope I do. It's just brought out more questions for you now.
No, you did. I was like, you got it, girl. I was like, ping, ping, ping. I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'll just go ahead and mute myself because I think you got this whole thing down to a T.
Well, talking about the life insurance, you probably have some at work. The listeners have some at work and they don't really know what they have. What do I have at work? And how do I find that out? And that's where we delve deeper into these types of questions. And I always wanted to embrace people to understand and know what they have. I went to an insurance appointment once with a couple, and I said, okay, take out all your insurance policies. Well, the whole table was full of insurance policies, and they had no idea what they had.
Oh, wow.
Some insurance would cover me for, if a blue bus hit me at 9:00 at night at that intersection, it would cover me, or, that type of thing. But that's what I said. Okay, this is for this. And I would write, have a cover page so that they would understand what they had. And there's nothing wrong with having insurances, but there is something wrong with having insurance and not knowing what you have and what you're paying for. And is it what I want? Is it really what I want? Do I want it to end when I'm 50? Do I want it to continue till I'm 80? Like, what do I want? Everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think, and your house insurance, like, am I covered for earthquake? Am I covered if a tornado hits me? Like all of these floods, are my extra artwork, is that covered? Or have I taken my photos for the insurance purposes?
Mm-hmm.
And you can use those same photos that you take in case you pass away. And who do I want to give that to? Like, there's so many angles that you can take what you just did and actually use it for another reason as well. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I honestly, well, I think my two girls are my greatest achievements, probably as a mom. I think the app has definitely been a great accomplishment for me. I did, as a 57-year-old woman, I entered a contest in August, and Fab over 40 modeling competition. And I actually came 15th out of like 3,500 people.
Oh, wow.
3,500 women. So I think that's a great accomplishment, even though I hate losing. I'm just too competitive to take 15th spot. It's like my daughters played softball, and I always thought, oh, who wants to come third or fourth? There's only awards for first and second. You have to come first, because that's why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Is to win this thing. So I think the app is definitely my achievement. I feel that anything that's come on in my life, it's based, I've been put here to do this, to help people. And I would like to continue it through workshops and one-on-one coaching, and wherever this takes me. But I also see a TV show in my mind, because I think it would be cool when the Emerging Blueprint comes out. It's only going to be for United States and Canada, although the basis of being prepared is really a basic line. So it's for anybody. But I would like to add, a UK section and an Australia section and a European section, so that I could interview attorneys and lawyers from Britain, and they can put in their information of what is in that area. How does it pertain to that group of people? And I'd like to go and visit cemeteries in different countries and show people, this is how they bury their dead family members. What do they do for celebrations? How do they have funerals? What do they do for births and celebrations? And just I think it would be so cool to see what other countries do in all the same sort of scenarios.
Yeah, especially like the Dias de las Muertas, where they do the Day of the Dead, where they are honoring their passed on loved ones.
Part of the Blueprint program is the last module is actually called the Treasure Box. So it's creating for yourself, as well as workshops that we will be having based on that. Grab a glass of wine and let's get some ideas on what can I do this year for leaving a legacy. And a legacy doesn't have to be money. A legacy can be knitting or crocheting a pair of socks, or the perfume that you like. It's all the senses. I tell everybody, it's what you see, it's what you feel, it's what you smell. So you want to leave all of those types of things in a box for someone to pass on. So it might be that scarf that, your mom used to wear, or her favorite recipes, or her poetry that she wrote, or what her handwriting looked like, or those little videos that you made throughout the year, or songs that they sang, or whatever it is. But there's so many cool ideas that people come up with. And it's so exciting and fun, because it's taken the dreary side of it to make it, I should do something this year. If you're not doing it on a monthly basis, you should definitely do it on an annual basis of what can I do, or what can I come up with this year too? Because I was sitting in a funeral one time for a 57-year-old man, and who passed away, and his two kids were 16 and 14. at the front. And I really sat there and I thought, they know who their dad was. The wife knows who the dad was. But after that, it starts to get dwindled. And their kids are going to know from photos and how they've talked about them. But then after that, their kids it starts fading and fading and fading. So what could you leave today? What could you do this year to leave behind so that the next group and that next group and that next generation are going to know who you were and what you did and what you meant to people?
Yeah, I'm going to get started on that. That's for sure. This weekend. That's for sure. And I hope that everybody who's currently listening, because that should be a goal for everyone. I mean, one of the also things that I would love to have the listeners do is to check out your website. So Tina, where are they able to find more information about this app?
Oh my gosh, I am everywhere. You can find me everywhere. We're on YouTube, Your Backup Plan. We have the website, yourbackuplan.ca. Instagram is Your Backup Plan, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and we have Facebook page as well as a Facebook VIP group that is a growing community that has like-minded people that like being prepared and like the idea and want to have the ideas and want to be part of a bigger group.
I love it. It's been a pleasure and an honor, Tina, to actually speak with someone who has such a enriched and passionate life and journey that I'm able to embrace on this podcast. So it's been wonderful to speak with you. And we got to cry together and laugh together. And that makes us officially, it makes us officially BFFs here, virtual BFFs.
We're done.
So,
thank you so much. Thank you, listeners. And thank you, Jasmine, for having me come on today. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. But thank you so much. Have a wonderful Friday. I will stay in touch with you.
Yes, absolutely. That sounds great. Thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. Have a wonderful weekend.
The people that you touch, it's amazing, really, through this platform.
It is. Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you for being such a great host.
Oh, I'm trying. Thank you. Have a good weekend then. It's an honor. Like I said, Tina, you take care of yourself. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jasmine.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Noise Palooza Zion podcast. If you yourself is a small business owner, entrepreneur, musician, or artist, or liked what you heard, please share and follow. I am on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, or contact me at www.jasminecastillovoice.com and stay tuned for the next upcoming episode.